His corner, the Dynasty tight end landscape. I'm Russell Clay, and I'm a staff writer over at fantasyguru.com. I've been playing fantasy football for over 15 years and Dynasty for over 13. Today we're going to be going over the Dynasty tight end landscape, profile a few players, look at some undervalued players, and also evaluating, obviously, the landscape as a whole. If you find this video valuable, please give it a like and also subscribe to the channel. And let's get into it. All right, let's look at this frisky tight end landscape. Clearly, the top is in a good place, I would say, right now. Kyle Pitts, 20 years old, putting up a monstrous age 20 season, age 21, whatever you want to call it. Again, fourth overall pick in the NFL draft. You can argue whether he's a tight end or a wide receiver. I don't care what your opinion is on that. I don't have a gripe either way. But for fantasy purposes, he's 21. He is located at tight end on our fantasy depth charts. And for Dynasty Leagues, there are few players that are more valuable than him. Especially in a tight end premium format, the market value of a guy like this putting up 1,000 yards in his rookie season. Now, I know the fantasy production in actuality was not great. Only that one receiving touchdown. But this is where I just say 68 receptions, 1,026 yards from scrimmage, 17 games. So you can say, hey, maybe he finished in the 970, 980 range in a regular season, but he really only had 8 receiving yards in that final game. So just a monstrous rookie year. I currently have Pitts at 100. You're looking at the Fantasy Guru Dynasty Rankings ratings page. We have quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. So if you want to check out other positions, I've been going over the landscape for that for a few weeks now. So go check out those videos as well. But the important thing is at the top, we have this huge second tier of tight ends. And this is probably going to look a little different than the Dynasty rankings you've been looking at. You're going to see Travis Kelce down here at an 83 overall. Now, if you want to take Kelce over Fant, Gesicki, and maybe even Waller, I'm totally fine with that. Kelce is probably still in line for some high-end tight end 1 seasons in the future. From my experience, 32 years old is old. And I know Kelce looks great, but I do think it's worth noting what he went from in 2020 to 2021. So we see this 3-year stretch, right? 1,310, 1,205, 1,411, and last year, his lowest reception total since 2017, his lowest yardage total since 2017, and 9 touchdowns is still great. But actually 10 touchdowns total is still great. But I do think we're seeing a situation where the Chiefs don't care about the regular season as much as they did during this run. And also, Kelce's getting older. He's going to be in his age 33 season next year. Maybe he can continue to just, transcend the tight end position, but he's going to be going in the first, second round of Dynasty startup drafts this year, and I just can't get behind that anymore. He's a win now piece and a potential league winning win now piece, but I don't see the perceived value upside anymore with him. He's 33. If he suffers any type of injury, he's going to see a huge loss in value. He still does have value around the trade deadline in your dynasty leagues. But unless you are a big-time contender, this is just a piece I would trade right now. If you are a contender, then hold on, ride it out, ride Kelce till the wheels come off. You could get another 3 years of high-end tight end 1 production. So this has nothing to do with what I think of Travis Kelce in 2022. I'm just looking at the perceived value, the market value, where we want to be taking guys in our startup dynasty drafts. I just don't see that same upside as I did a few years ago. So Kelce has been slowly moving down my dynasty ratings the last couple, weeks, months, years, and I think we're going to continue to see that slide for me. Unclear if that's going to happen for the rest of the fantasy space, but that's kind of where I see him. Now, again, if you're a contender, you're going to be taking him over Gesicki and Fant. But I mean, it's an 8-year age difference, and this is not quarterback. If this is Tom Brady at age 31, sure. But do we really think Travis Kelce is going to be producing, high-end fantasy numbers into his mid to late 30s? Maybe. Tony Gonzalez did. So maybe you're making a bet that Travis Kelce is Tony Gonzalez. If you want to make that bet, that's fine with me. But just from what we've seen with, just about every other aging tight end, they at least slow down. Like even Tony Gonzalez was not producing, high-end tight end 1 numbers in his mid to late 30s. He was more in that mid to low-end tight end 1. So you really don't want to get yourself in that situation where you drafted Kelce in round 1 of a startup and then you're not really banking that tight end 1 overall season anymore. So, another guy that's kind of controversial right now in terms of where to rank him is Pat Freiermuth. Had just a brilliant age 22-23 season. I know it doesn't look great, but when you put into context of what he was getting out of Ben Roethlisberger in his rookie year, 2nd-round pick, amazing college profile out of Penn State, athletic enough, showed the ball skills to be a really special guy in the red zone and as a dump-off guy. So I think we're going to be seeing Pat Freiermuth, as of next year, start to produce top, tight end 1 seasons with the potential of a top 6 tight end season. So kind of in that TJ Hawkinson range, which is why I have him in that TJ Hawkinson range. It's looking good for the top end of this tight end landscape because we do have the win now guys. We have Waller, we have Kelce, we have Kittle, but we also have these young guys coming up. And this is what I was hoping for a few years ago when we were sort of in this downturn with this group. Darren Waller is another guy that I think we should be thinking about. 29 years old, really, has produced some great years, got injured this year, but a guy we need to think about, and you need to figure out your conviction, whether you think this is going to sustain itself or whether we might be in a little more trouble with him than before. Carr likes to spread it out. He now has a top slot weapon in Hunter Renfrow. They have Bryan Edwards. They have, some interesting pieces there, Zay Jones, that Derek Carr likes. So at least need to be thinking about that for the future. And lastly, something I'll say is, you didn't see any of these guys at the top of the dynasty rankings, which is amazing in looking back. The 2017 NFL draft, when we saw O.J. Howard, Evan Ingram, David Njoku, and even a Gerald Everett, who was, highly athletic, Jonnu Smith, we have George Kittle up there, but these guys have all been very disappointing. And I think this might be an interesting offseason to buy low or potentially buy low on these guys. O.J. Howard tore his Achilles, had Rob Gronkowski kind of come and steal his job. Bruce Arians hasn't really loved Howard since he's jumped into the fold there. Evan Ingram, tons of injuries. David Njoku, they brought in Austin Hooper. Njoku did have a nice second season, as did O.J. Howard, as did Evan Ingram. These guys all got off to really great starts and then kind of fizzled out here. I still believe in the talent. I think these are guys you can draft really, really late in dynasty startups, and they would be guys I would be pursuing. Ingram might be a little more expensive, but in particular, Howard and Njoku, the next year or two could look a lot different for them. Obviously, Tom Brady retiring in Tampa, but we don't even know what Howard's long-term stance is there. Njoku, same thing there. So that's my final note for here. I just wanted to let you guys know that. As always, I thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for checking out the video. If you found anything valuable or informational from this video, please give it a like and also subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate that. As always, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you guys later.